Hi everyone, it's Shastine, your Southwest Washington real estate agent and your host. And today in this video, we are going to be covering the very sensitive topic that actually matters to a lot of people who are either looking to move here as well as those who already call Washington their home. And that is the very sensitive topic known as homelessness, specifically the homeless camps. And we need to know, what in the world is Washington doing to protect our community and our streets? As well, we want to have that update on the attempts that Washington is making to remedy this issue that seemed to have kind of popped up since 2020. So today, in this video, we're going to cover some of those updates that you should be aware of that will help you determine if this place is a place for you. And we're going to talk about it right now. So what has Portland been struggling with that Vancouver, Washington is being very proactive on? That has to do with the homelessness and the street camps that are, well, pretty much overtaking a lot of different areas in Portland. And so what is Southwest Washington doing about that? We're going to talk about that right now.
Vancouver's program looks like something that holds great promise, which is why leaders from cities around the country are now visiting to see what they're doing.
Vancouver is taking a very different approach. And since the emergency order that they put in place in 2023, Washington has been very proactive to get people off the streets and into recovery. And they have been working hard to get grant money that has come in to help them set up new shelters, and also actually expanding outreach programs to get people off of the street and into recovery. So it's really refreshing to me that the city is actually looking like it's stepping up in a very big way. And these are all things that you need to know about and that I want to be able to just give you a little bit of an update on. But more importantly, you're going to want to know what's the update, how are they going about it, and how will it actually end up playing out as they begin to roll everything out. So let's begin to talk about just some of those things. Vancouver, Washington isn't immune to the homeless issues. You know, just like other states across the country, Vancouver has the same effects that other states are having, which is housing crisis, substance abuse, and mental health challenges. But for Vancouver specifically, in 2024 alone, there were over 8,700 residents in Clark County that experienced some sort of form of homelessness. But here's the key, and it's the key difference. Unlike other cities that allow sprawling tent camps, Vancouver has made it very clear camping on sidewalks and along major roadways will not be tolerated. One of the things that they did specifically as of March, as a matter of fact, they went in and they actually closed down the homeless camps that were all along what we call the Mill Plain Sound Wall. And they did this, of course, under the emergency order. But what I do appreciate regarding what and how the city of Vancouver is doing this is that when they went in and they moved very quickly. But instead of just shoving them off and saying, hey, get out of here, they actually went in and they were offering services and shelter options to those who are being affected by that move. One of the things that they set up, and I did talk about this on one of my other videos, I talked about what they call the safe stay communities. And they began to build those just going back just a couple of years ago. And they have just a few of them here in Southwest Washington. And this happens to be one of the city's most successful strategies that they actually put in place. And if you remember in my other video, I talked about how these little communities were fenced in. They were secure communities with 20 small shelters, each for individuals or couples, but they were managed 24/7 by nonprofits, so they weren't being just left to themselves to go awry. Plus, within those communities, they actually offered hygiene stations, they offered mental health services and addiction support, and of course a real chance to transition to long-term housing. And it's more than just a roof over their head. It's actually something that will help them take that first step into stability. More importantly, with accountability as well. The success and the results speak volumes from this one closure. From the Mill Plain Sound Wall encampment closure, 24 people moved into a supportive shelter at the City Safe Stay Park. And there were 35 who, of course, were not ready to go into shelter, who were at least offered safe storage for their belongings for up to 60 days. So as they're cracking down to end the homeless camps, they are realizing that they need to actually put some things in place where these individuals can go. Because if you think about it, there were 60 people in this one camp alone. And from what I know, there are 2 other areas that I see people setting up camps. And so what's the city actually going to do with these type of numbers? Well, here is the big news. It is the Bridge Shelter Project.
The city of Vancouver proposing a 150-bed bridge shelter. This proposed site would be on Northeast 94th at a former gymnastics facility.
And it happens to be the city of Vancouver's biggest publicly funded shelter. The Bridge Shelter, which will be located near the Vancouver Mall. And this is a 2-story facility that will house up to 150 individuals in a low-barrier, trauma-informed 24/7 shelter with services built right in. And that means access to addiction recovery, mental health counseling, job training, fresh meals, and much more. The purchase of this building, on a side note, really hit personally because our church had purchased this building and it was going to be our future church. And we already ran out of parking, so we had to sell the building. So it was amazing that the city actually came in and were really taking on the same heartbeat that the church that I go to actually has. And that is about having an impact in our city and wanting to do more to help our city, to be able to help others in our city. So it was just perfect that it ended up being purchased and still carrying the heartbeat of what those in my community were actually seeing for this building. So that was just a little added smile that came to me when I actually read about it. They're going to get a lot of support from a lot of different individuals. And the city, of course, can't do it alone either. And so they have been able to get grants. One came in at $2.75 million from the Clark County Opioid Abatement Council. Oh my gosh. $1.9 million was awarded through the Ed and Dolly Lynch Fund. And that was, of course, going to expand the city's homelessness assistance and resources team to actually work with people on a one-on-one individual basis, which is really important when it comes to changing mindset and really beginning to trust people to help you make good choices and make steps into improving your life. And so it takes money. And lastly, Peace Health. Thank you, Peace Health. They gave $800,000 to build a commercial grade kitchen for fresh, nutritious meals. Yes, it is a big investment and a big vision, but it really does speak to the heart of Washington to really be able to help improve the lives of those who are already doing really well in communities and suburbs, to those that may have had just some hardship in life and maybe just ended up making not good decisions and reaping the results of that. But you know, we all need a hand up every now and then. And I know that us in Washington work together to try to implement certain things in place to help those that are willing to take that hand up. And so this is just one of the great new updates that Washington is doing. Just so that you know, the Homeless Assistance and Resources Team, known as HART, they are the ones with the boots on the ground. And I want to give just a tidbit of information on this, maybe just in case you might want to learn more and see how you can help. HART is doing more of the outreach side of it. And so they provide direct support. They connect people with services and monitor hygiene at the encampments. And so thanks to the $1.9 million grant, HART can now add 8 more outreach workers, which means more boots on the ground, more compassionate connections, and more help for those who are ready to make a change. So why does all this matter for us as homeowners or as people who are relocating into Washington? Well, for homeowners and for you future buyers, this really does matter. And that's because it shows that Vancouver is actively managing homelessness, and they're doing it with compassion and structure. And so you're not going to see tent cities like in Portland. The city's approach is to prevent that kind of crisis through early intervention and well-funded infrastructure. So for those of you moving here from out of state, especially from areas where street camping has become overwhelming, this is a reassuring sign that your investment and your quality of life are protected here if you were looking to make the move into Southwest Washington. Now, I don't want to say all that with a note of realism, right? Now, let's be honest. None of this works unless people want help. Bridge shelters and safe stays offer opportunity, but not everyone is ready. Addiction and trauma are very complicated, and some residents decline services altogether. And even though it's heart-wrenching, you know, there are many others that will love to take that help and that do take that help that are currently living on the streets. Again, this really hits close to me because I have two brothers that chose homelessness. It just, from a young age, they made wrong decisions, and it caused them to have to pay a penalty for that, and that kind of tainted them from their work, got them around different people that they shouldn't have been around, got them into alcohol, which then got them into losing the desire to want to truly have ambition and dreams and hopes. And so even though, you know, they had me, they had my mom, they still chose what they wanted to choose. So it is very near and dear to my heart regarding wanting to help the community. And sometimes we may not always understand it, but I'm really grateful for those who still want to reach out and care instead of condemn. So while the city is working to make this sustainable using new revenue sources, they're also facing a $43 million budget gap, which could create challenges down the road. But still, every city has its struggles, but Vancouver is clearly putting in the work. So what's the takeaway here? Well, Vancouver is building systems, real solutions that balance care and accountability. And it's not perfect, but it's proactive, and it's setting a tone that many communities across the country could actually learn from. If you're considering a move to Southwest Washington, or you're a homeowner wondering what's being done, now you know. This is investing in people and in projects for our neighborhoods to become better and better. And if you found this helpful, like and subscribe for more updates on Vancouver's growth, housing, and quality of life, and certainly put some comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great home buying and selling day.